Did you know, in ancient Greece there was a goddess who never fought, never took revenge, never punished, and yet, the immortal life of Olympus depended entirely on her. Who is Hebe? Hebe is the goddess of eternal youth, daughter of Zeus and Hera. Officially, she was the servant of Olympus, the one who served nectar and ambrosia to the gods. Her name means youth. She remained forever young, never aged, never truly grew up. Hebe was born at the moment when Hera drank a magical herb from Gaia, hoping to conceive without Zeus, to prove her own power. Said that when Hebe was born, Olympus bloomed with flowers, and the baby smiled without blinking. The gods didn't know what to do. She didn't cry, didn't demand, only watched. Hebe served nectar, the liquid that gave gods their eternal power. Only she knew the correct dose. Give too much and the god lost their mind. Give too little and they became vulnerable. Once, Hermes tried to replace her. He spilled the nectar. The next day, Zeus couldn't throw a lightning bolt. His power was gone, and Hebe simply stood holding the pitcher. I don't nourish, I preserve. Her words, inscribed in the temples of Samos. Though Hebe was Hera's daughter, they spoke rarely. In one myth, Hera once asked her, "Do you know who your father is?" And Hebe replied, "I know who drank my childhood." From that moment, Hera never looked at her again, and Hebe stopped drinking ambrosia. She only poured it for others. The legend of Hebe's chalice. In a temple in Sicyon stood a cup made of gold and black obsidian. It was said that if a mortal looked into it, they would see their age not by years, but by deeds. One priestess dared to look. At the bottom of the chalice, she saw an old woman with burned-out eyes, and her own voice said, "You stopped being young long ago. Your body just hasn't caught up yet." In the morning, she vanished. Only a drop of nectar remained on the stone, black as tar. What happens if a mortal drinks her nectar? Hebe never shared nectar with humans. But there is a legend of a boy, her childhood beloved. When he became a man, he came to her, asking for a drop of immortality. She refused. He stole the chalice and drank. In an instant, his body turned to gold. He froze in a pleading pose. The gods couldn't move him. He became a living statue, still standing in a shaded niche on Olympus. And at midnight, it sighs. After Heracles died, his soul rose to Olympus. Zeus, wishing to immortalize his son's feet, offered him Hebe's hand. She didn't object, but she didn't smile either. Heracles became immortal, but year by year he grew quieter, darker. Legend says, the closer you are to youth that never fades, the more deeply you feel how much you've already lived. He stopped speaking, stopped laughing. He only drank from her chalice silently, and once said, "I feel like I'm not dying, but I'm not living either." Hebe is eternal, not because time doesn't touch her, but because everything around her succumbs to time faster. Once, Athena said, "When I fight beside her, my swords dull faster. When I sing, my voice breaks sooner. I must leave to become myself again." The most unsettling myth. In one rare legend, Hebe descended to the mortal world and decided to grant immortality to one god and make another mortal. She came to Ephesus to a temple and said, "I no longer believe in balance. Someone must vanish for another to become eternal." The name of the god she made mortal has not survived, but they say his cult disappeared overnight. All statues cracked. His name vanished from memory. If youth no longer remembers you, you no longer exist. A temple where you can trade years for feeling. In Asia Minor, there was a half-ruined temple, dedicated to Hebe. Legend says, if you enter it and whisper your name into the water, she gives you a chance. 1 year of your life for 1 day of feeling young again. But there's a condition. You cannot choose which year you lose. One man went through the ritual, and the next morning he no longer remembered his child's death. He laughed, but later looked in the mirror and didn't know why he was crying. Her true power is silence. Hebe speaks rarely, almost never. The gods whisper that if she says your name, you stop aging. But if she speaks your memory, you lose it. In one version of the myth, it was Hebe, who erased Zeus's memory of his first son, so he would not grieve. Memory is the enemy of youth, they say at the temple on Samos. The myth of the child who became forever. One day a boy came to Olympus, son of a priestess who died in service. He was silent. He looked at Hebe, held out his hands. She touched him and he froze. Since then, he never grew, never aged. He sits on the temple steps, watching everyone who passes by. Sometimes he whispers, "I've already grown up," but no one believes me. Comment below. Would you drink from her chalice? Or would you give up a year of your life for one day of youth? Subscribe if you want more stories of gods who don't grant miracles, but choices you can't escape. Hebe.